All right, rock and roll. And let's get back on my Zoom here.
Get back on my Zoom.
Oh, I love it. Uh,
Dave, welcome. Welcome to my stream.
welcome to you, to mine, yours, in mine as well.
We're doing
All
more
right.
monster talk. I was surprised that we actually had some people who got into the last one, especially considering you couldn't hear anything I was saying.
Yeah, well, and you were the only one saying anything of value too, so that's especially
I know.
remarkable.
Well, I don't know if that's true.
So, Jinn,
Uh,
tell me about the Jinn.
Gene.
What have you been learning about the ancient Arabic spirit? Is it a spirit? Is it
Yeah.
a monster? Is it a person? What is a Jinn?
Well, there's the vagine is the most famous of all the gene. So the thing that's exciting that I found out today that got me down this whole gin rabbit hole is that there's six types of them, and they're all very different
Okay.
uh, types. And there's like a hierarchy of them. There's a whole like gin verse
Now, are these
going on.
six types? Do they all exist within the same lore, or are these like at different
Yeah.
points in history? Okay.
Yeah, they all exist within the same lore, and they all like, you know, type, for example, type one hates type four. They're like
Oh,
this.
okay.
So I have some pictures that I will just use to do these. So I'm gonna switch over my scenes. I think this will work.
Now, is it a hierarchy, or are they like entire just different creatures entirely? Because I know in a lot of like Jewish and Christian mythology, there's like a hierarchy of demons and of angels, and they're all on the same team, but they're just different ranks. It's like in the military.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with with their power level, like if they and also there's a lot of about how they feel about humans is a big deal.
Okay.
So uh like for so okay, so for example, oh, you know the best way to do this? I'm not going to switch scenes. I'm going to share my screen with you on Zoom. That's the best way to do
Go
it.
for it.
Share desktop one. Okay. So first we got the Jans that is spelled almost exactly like Jin to make it super confusing.
Okay.
And these are the oldest of the genies. They live in the desert.
Are they
They're
the
not su
are they the general managers of Dunder Mifflin Paper Company?
They are. Wait, why? Oh, because
That's
she's Jan.
yeah, Jan.
Ah, yes. That's okay, good. Deep office cut there.
Very deep cut.
So they live in the desert and there's only a couple cool things about them. One is they can take the form of sandstorms, which is dope.
Yeah.
And two, when they travel as a white camel. So those are the two coolest things about them.
Okay.
They're the oldest genies. They're supposed to be like the four forefathers, four genies of all the other genies. There's also like a lot about them where they can like live as humans, and I found some information that's really into like how well they accept Islam, which seems like thorny territory. So I'm just gonna leave
Yeah.
that
Well, that
aspect of
was that's interesting. I just read really on a cursory level about the Jinn, and Wikipedia says that they're in within the mythology. They're like people, and some of them can be righteous believers. Like they can be
right.
unbelievers or believers, just like humans.
So there's two types of gin that's true of. This is one of them,
Okay.
and then there's another one that comes later. And these guys, like I said, they hate the fourth type, and this is this is them fighting one of the fourth type out there.
Okay.
I'll get to the fourth type in a second. But so after the Jan, we have the Kareen. And these are basically Jiminy Cricket is pretty much what this is. They're like your conscience. They literally like they'll sit on your shoulder or in your heart. They'll tell you to do evil things. They give you bad thoughts. Sometimes I guess they can give you good thoughts, but mostly it sounds like they're like trying to convince you to masturbate.
Okay. So it's usually they're like an evil Jiminy Cricket. They're the devil on the
Yeah.
shoulder.
Yeah, they can be subdued by strong faith and regular devotion. A lot of it really does sound like anti-masturbation stuff because it's like
You have to
they
subdue
could
it.
yeah, you got to subdue it. They can possess individuals. I don't want to. But you're, yeah.
Sure.
And it says the relationship between a Korean and a person is multifaceted and complex, and the Prophet Muhammad was the only one to uh oh, it says the only one to convert his Kareem to Islam. So I guess another place I read said he didn't have one. So here I got
Uh,
some. There's supposed to be ethereal, so here's an ethereal Kareem,
Now
and here's one.
let me ask you this: did you come across anything? So this is very anecdotal. If anybody watching is Muslim or grew up Muslim, I'd be curious to hear what's the story behind this in the mosque? Because I've been to several mosques, and as a non-Muslim, you can't participate, but you can sit in the back and watch. And
Yeah,
there's a point during the prayers when the people they're sitting upright toward the end, and they'll kind of turn to either side and they'll whisper
yeah,
something. And I've
oh
been
yeah.
told that that's like greeting the good angel and the bad angel on your shoulders.
Ooh, that
That
does sound like this might be this.
Yeah, that's the
That's
explanation that
interesting.
I've been given, but it's like this is very anecdotal, so I'm not sure at
Yeah.
all.
Well, I would be interested to dive deeper into this thing about how they talk about Muhammad's Kareem. I have a picture I drew of that.
Let's make
Just
that
kidding.
the
Just that's the thumbnail. All right,
that's
so
thumbnail of the video.
that's Kareem. And then the next one, this is the Silla or Sila, Sila. And they are a rare gin. Not that really any gin are that common. Like you don't just run across them all the time. But this one, even among rare gin, this is rarer. And they're shapeshifters. I got him shapeshifting somewhere here. Where is he? Yeah. They
Okay.
shapeshift. They can look like humans. Like you were saying, these ones can actually kind of go into human society. They'll get married. They are very into human society. Like this is sideways, I know, but like they actually will talk with people and like they tend to like side with um righteousness. They're pretty good. Like
Okay.
as far as all the genies go.
These are the
They're very
good ones.
yeah. They're often associated with ancient ruins and temples, and they can also grant wishes. There's only really two types that can grant wishes. The other types can't do that at all.
Yeah.
It's just lame. I don't think you should be able to be a djinn if you can't grant wishes, but these guys can. I like that one.
Uh, interest.
I like that one.
Interestingly enough, though, all of them are very good at impressions, just like Robin Williams.
I know. I was really quickly trying to Photoshop a picture of Will Smith's genie face over the part over the thing where he's slapping Chris Rock. Your wish is granted. But I didn't have time. All right, so those are Scylla's.
I have to. I'll be
Scylla.
coughing a lot. I'm getting over a cold here, so apologies.
Oh boy. Oh, disgusting coughing
I got
right.
I got a gene up in my lungs right now.
So yeah, all right. So those are the Scylla's. Now we get to the fourth kind, the kind that the Jan hate, and that is the ghoul.
All right.
Ugh.
All right.
Yeah, I didn't know ghouls are a type of genie. They suck as bad as you think they would. They're desert dwelling, shape shifting. They're known for their grave robbing and the consumption of human flesh,
It's like a
which, by the
zombie,
way,
like a zombie
well,
gene.
that's one. Sometimes they're like this. Sometimes they're like spidery. I like this one of a person in the desert holding a picture of a ghoul because AI is fun. You describe things
Is this a
to it.
person like just looking for the
I
ghoul,
said,
and he's
I
like,
said,
no, that's not him.
generate a picture of a ghoul in the desert, and so it's a picture of a ghoul in the desert.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're gross. Oh, yeah, okay. So these are all the ghouls. Um, they what else is about them? They're considered very dangerous because they're deceptive and predatory, and they're nocturnal. And oh, their strength is much like much like our Hillcrest community. Their strength is said to be in their gaze. Uh,
Ah, I see what you did there.
but their gaze can paralyze the unwary, whereas ours can only dance and have parades. Uh, Ghouls are often used as antagonists in tales to convey moral lessons. So anyway, it's kind of just your standard ghoul,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Little green ghouls, man, walking
Little Green.
around.
I was watching. I was watching that the other day. I was watching the behind the
What is
scenes on
it?
that. They were talking about. They're talking about how it's like all the different types of monsters were wrong except ghouls.
Yeah, like they go real in depth into the difference between ghouls and
Yeah.
like goblins or something like that. He's like,
Oh,
ghouls, they're mischievous. They'll bite you maybe, but they're pretty harmless.
you saw that clip? Doesn't
Yeah,
Dennis Reynolds look like he's had like a lot of work done in real life now? I feel like that guy's getting a lot of
yeah, he's showing his
surgery.
age, all right.
Yeah.
He's proven the old adage about white cracks all night.
Yeah. All right.
He's
That old adage.
the
All
one
right.
the one I
So,
just made up.
yeah, that's a good one. So that's the first four types. Now we're getting into the fifth type, the penultimate type, as one might call it. And this is a more powerful type. I don't like how these headphones make my hair look all, I want it to be more wavy, like this.
You're looking pretty coiffed.
Thank you. All right. So this is called an Ifrit, Ifrit. And they're like demon genies. They're probably the most badass of all of them, even though
Okay.
they're the second most powerful. Next genie's going to be the most powerful.
So these guys are like
But
Jafar at the end of the movie when he's all big and powerful and red.
uh, technically, no. Technically, Jafar was the next. Well, maybe. I don't know, actually. We'd have to dive a little deeper.
Well, I
Because
guess
Jafar.
at the very end he wished to be the most powerful genie. So from
Right, yeah, he'd be in it. It's well, the next ones are like the cosmic ones, but these ones are they're known for their fiery nature. They're among the most powerful. They're malevolent and wicked. Um, they're mentioned in the Quran, so
oh,
that's a
interesting.
fish. Ifrits are thought to be born from the blood of murder victims, which is pretty metal.
Nice. That's very punk rock.
They're associated with the underworld. They're and black magic rituals. Oh yeah, check this out. I got a picture of a black magic ritual with one of these guys. So
So
that you summon them in black magic rituals.
yeah. So these guys sound the closest to like the idea of a demon, like
Do you know
just
what they're
straight up
like?
evil.
Yeah, they're like the friggin' what's the thing in Lord of the Rings that he falls the "you shall not pass"
Oh
thing.
yeah, the fire monster that takes him down into the pit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, it's bad if neither of us knows what is that called? The Balthazar or something like that.
yeah, it's
The
something like
like
that.
the Baikal.
The
Jeez, I feel
Baikal,
bad.
named after the Russian lake.
It's the it's the bellicose. I don't know. So
He,
they also guard stuff like treasure. There's like a
okay.
lot of the like the one story I found is like a guy like goes to get a treasure and then the Ifrit asks I don't know I was kind of looking for like a badass Ifrit story but then he just asked like a riddle and then the guy got it and then he just gave him the treasure so it didn't seem that badass but
Or
um
he's just not very good at writing riddles.
yeah I don't know I also like this is kind of a funny AI thing. I've noticed I can get a lot more gory stories out of the Google AI Bard than I can out of ChatGPT. ChatGPT kind of gives me a lot of PG bullshit.
Okay. Now, did you
Um,
find any actual like human stories about these creatures, like from folklore?
well, it is all from folklore. I mean, it's pulling it up from old folklore, but I didn't find any on the Efreet. I did find some on the Jan and what was the other one I looked up? Like the ghoul's too hard to pin down, and the Sela I found some stuff too. The Sela's like all over the place, and the stuff about Muhammad with the Koreen or the
Yeah, the one
Kareen,
on his shoulder.
not to be mixed up with the Quran. And let's see, yeah, and so these guys also end up as these guys can turn into like human like forms and like mix in amongst humans and they're often like the bad guy in like heroic battles.
Like when they ask you to play the greatest song in the world,
Yeah.
or, or else they'll eat your souls.
I like your soul. So now we come to the big boys, the Marids. Whoa. And these guys are cosmic AF. They're Known to possess great strength. They're associated with water, oddly enough. So they're often coming out of water, often found near seas and rivers. They can grant wishes. They can grant any wishes, but they always do it in a twisted manner.
Like
And
the monkey paw story. You remember that
a
one?
lot of oh yeah, where it's like
Or-
they put the two sides of the monkey paw down, so it's giving you the finger with the middle one.
Yeah, and that's always the worst wish. No, but
Uh,
they come up with some kind of fucked up way to twist your words, and like
yeah,
you wish for $1 million and you get it from a life insurance policy because your loved one dies.
yeah,
That's in the monkey paw story. That's the
yeah.
first wish. Spoiler
That's
alert.
Yeah, I remember that there's the monkey paw story I remember is that like these people wish for their son to come back or something, and then like
Yeah,
his corpse comes back.
yeah, that's the end of it. It's a creepy ending.
Uh, is that all these? Oh, so there's a whole story about like Marids can give each other wishes, and so this one Marid like gets wishes and goes on land and has a whole adventure. His name's Azric, but I didn't take the time to learn his entire story because I didn't have time. But
So you know what's
those
interesting to me about all these genie, I'm not sure what the plural is.
Guinea.
These all these guys, it seems clear that they existed before Islam. Like they were pagan beliefs in the Arabic world before the Prophet Muhammad, before Islam existed. And what's interesting is how Islam incorporated them. What the hell? There we go. Because it's so different from the way that Christianity usually incorporates pagan beliefs in a land that it takes over. Usually with Christianity, all the pagan gods and demigods, they get turned into demons. They're straight up
Right.
demonized. Where here they got incorporated in kind of a more natural and maybe I guess more tolerant way because
What?
they're not turned into evil creatures so much. And there's even this option that
Except the
some
ghouls. The ghouls are straight up evil.
yeah, well they'll bite you.
Don't.
They'll,
Yeah. I feel like they would run across the room a lot. Like you'd always just like out of the corner of your eye, what? There's a ghoul. No,
well,
not these ghouls. These ghouls are yeah.
but the idea that some genie can actually be believers and can be righteous is so a real different take on like pre-existing pagan beliefs from what you see
So
in a lot of.
who are the pagans of the Middle East? Like what was there before Islam?
I mean, it's so long ago. I don't know much about it, but
So
I know.
long ago, I don't remember.
Yeah, it's I. I was a little kid back then. No,
Yeah,
I mean it
I
was,
don't know anything about that.
but I mean I know all of the Arabic-speaking people. There were like tons of different cultures and tribes, but I know
Yeah.
they were like polytheistic. So Islam brings the idea of
That
monotheism.
they dated different gods at the same time.
Yeah, polyamorotheistic would be the term for that. But
Uh,
because Islam really brought the idea of one God that was a novel idea, which is why one
uh-huh.
of what is it? There's a name for that. The big tenet of Islam. It's there's no God but God, and Muhammad is his prophet. And so
Right.
that's like the big new thing that it's introducing into the Arabic world. And
That
before
was like
that,
a
there
crazy idea back in the day, huh? Like everybody was
yeah,
like, of course there's more than one God. How dare you say anything so crazy?
it
And
comes
then
up
they're like,
in History of the World Part One, where Mel Brooks is the stand-up philosopher in ancient Rome,
yeah.
and
That's true.
he's like, can you believe these Christians? They are so poor, and
How
then
poor are they?
they're so poor they only have one God.
It turned out to be a really good strategic move to like winnow it down to one God. It seems like the three big religions that did that all really came out on top.
Yeah, yeah, you don't see a lot
Well,
of.
I guess Hinduism or well, all right. I
Yeah, it's
won't make
doing all
blanket
right.
statements, but you know, the three Abrahamic religions, that seems to be the one thing they all got on board with.
Yeah, that's interesting to me how the genie get treated in Islam though, like that they're even
Yeah.
mentioned in the Quran and it's like it. I mean, are
And that
they?
they're being applied directly to Muhammad is
Yeah,
interesting to me. Like the because that's like I mean literally canonical.
yeah,
It's canonical.
yeah, and then there's this option for them to be redeemed, for them to actually like they're not just totally condemned evil. Some of them
Hmm.
can be redeemed and brought into the fold.
Yeah. Yeah, with those Jan and the Sela, that was a big part of it. It's like the Jan, it said, was the most likely to be converted to Islam.
Okay,
So yeah,
statistically speaking, just looking at
well, the Jan, they
The
spend
Pew
a lot of
Report
time
demographics.
they spent a lot of time in prison, and they ended up converting to Islam while they were in there. Also on internet chat boards, they're very
they got
popular with the Jan.
they got really ripped too. They lifted a lot of weights.
Dude, I don't think there's any of the genies that don't have six packs when you look at all these pictures. They all look like they've been doing sit-ups in a bottle for eternity.
For
Now
sure.
there were no sexy genies. I was kind of sad to see there were no lady sexy I Dream a Genie genies.
Oh, interesting. So this is my. I was wondering if there's any overlap with the genies and the Dibuk in Jewish culture. Have you heard of the Dibuk?
But remind me what it is. I
So
have heard it. I'm not lying. I've heard
well,
it.
so people talk about on like a real superficial level. People will describe the Jinn and the Dibuk as like a demon in that culture. But then when you look at what the creature actually is, it's not a fair comparison.
Mhm.
But the Dibuk, from my understanding, it's the Dibuk is more like a ghost. It's the ghost of a dead person who can haunt or possess a person. Whereas the
Mm.
Jinn, from what I'm understanding, it was never human, right? The Jinn is like its own
No.
category of being.
Yeah, none of the gene are human. Although the Kareen can possess people from time to
Okay,
time
okay,
and make them do bad stuff.
sure. Now the Dibuk, it possesses people. I've got a book right here. It's written. It was written in. I just
Is
happened.
it the book about the book?
It is actually. Oh, it's written in Yiddish. It's a play by S. Ansky, and so it's in Yiddish. It's Der Dibuk right there,
It's a
and
dirty book. Sorry, go on. Oh boy.
I have to. I have to think like a monolingual person to get these jokes. So, oh yeah, that's what that sounds like in English, right?
Oh,
No, it's in.
monolingual.
No, you're not monolingual. No, this this guy in 1920s, I think he wrote this. This my copy of it. It's pretty handy because it's in Yiddish on one side, and then it's got English on the other. So
Hey.
I read it in Yiddish, but then I'll cheat on the words I don't understand and go to the English. But this is a play this guy wrote in 1920 in Yiddish, and it's a in this story. This story made the idea of the Dibuk well known in the outside world, in the non-Jewish world. But in this play, it's this guy. He's messing with the Kabbalah. He's messing around with mystic,
Yeah,
you know, like messing with the elements and with the fabric of the universe. And he's been getting into the
yeah.
Kabbalah. And his friends at the shul, at the synagogue, they all tell him, don't fuck with that stuff. It's dangerous." And
Hmm.
so he's also in love with this girl in the village, and she's betrothed, like an arranged marriage, to marry some other douchebag. And the main character, he can't believe she's going to marry this other douchebag. So he does these Kabbalistic enchantments, dies, and turns himself into a Dibuk and possesses her, because that's the only way that he can have her, is by possessing her as a spirit.
The only way he can get inside her.
Yeah. No, yeah, literally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally.
the Dibuk lore is that sometimes it would enter through the vagina and possess females. It was like
And that's where the term vagine came from.
there it comes full circle. Now it's come full circle. So I guess there is a connection to
Well,
the gene.
well, come on, you're full circle.
We need to get you laid, friend.
I, I don't want to put too much out over the stream here, but that's been
Let me
taken
show
care
another visual aid I brought.
of.
So here's another parallel maybe to the gene because it's neither totally good nor bad. Like a lot of these monsters we look at. So the
Yeah.
chaneque is like a little person of the forest here in Mexico. This is chaneque brand beer. It's a little bottle I have. And
Yeah.
the chaneque is
Cute.
this like he's kind of like Charlie Day's ghouls because he's like this mischievous little guy running
It
around.
reminds me of the thing from that movie, the Princess Mononoke, the little guys with the head bobble guys. Do you remember
I
that?
haven't seen that movie actually, but
Oh, you would like that movie.
are
Anyway,
they
sorry,
like
go on.
are they like forest people, like elemental?
Yeah, they're like forest spirits that but they have kind of they look like almost really cute, tiny, almost like little skeletons, and they got little heads that go.
Okay, just a little bit of Tourette's or something.
It's more like a bobble thing that you put on your car. I
Okay,
think that's a pretty good impression. Oh boy.
so
All
so the
right.
Chanekes are like they're these nature spirits also, and in places where there's Chaneke lore or duendes and aluches, in those places, the really fundamentalist religions, like a lot of churches that come there that are like Protestant fundamentalist churches, they demonize the Chanekes. And they come and
Right.
they say, no, that's all your pagan pre-Christian beliefs. Those are all demons. It's all sent by the devil to trick you. But then people who are more cool about stuff, like usually the Catholics, will describe Chanekes in this more ambiguous kind of term. Well, no,
Uh-huh.
they're not exactly demons. Sometimes they do bad things. Sometimes they do good things. You want to keep your distance from them sometimes. But it's this whole like debate whether to demonize these pre-existing legends or not.
Yeah, there I was the other day I was looking at the Alkanost, which is that half woman, half bird thing. And that was like an example of like a pagan god, a pagan creature that the Pravoslavniks actually kept it as a good thing. It's kind of a exception to the rule where like they kind of like the Jinn. Yeah, they brought it in as a good thing, as like a concession to the pagans.
Yeah, that's a parallel right there with how Islam and the Orthodoxy
Hey,
incorporated those
so look in the
traditions.
chat. This is what these little guys look like. They're so cute.
Oh, can we? Oh yeah, now my people. Let me open this photo so everyone can see. Oh, I see those little.
They're just little guys. Just little guys. You should really watch
Okay,
Princess Mononoke. That's a very mythologically strong movie. A lot of gods and forest gods and
I dig
stuff
it.
like that. Yeah, yeah. Claire Danes
Uh,
plays a wolf, I think, or something.
back when when both of us lived in Russia, I found this website. I don't think it exists anymore, but it was in English and it was all about Slavic
We got 10
paganism.
minutes.
All right. Yeah, we're going off into the branches by now too, so it's a good.
Yeah, we already got through the genies. This is all it's gravy. This is genie gravy.
Just pour it
Just
all
pour it
over there.
on. It's chunky.
The No, this website was great. It was like it went real in depth into all the Slavic paganism
Yeah.
and all the different gods and legends. And I'm wondering if anybody has revamped that website. I'll look for it one of these days, and maybe that day is today.
Maybe it's today. Well, what other kinds of monsters are you going to look into? Or what? You're not looking into monsters. You're just talking to me about them.
Well,
I
I'm always researching these monsters.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
looking at 5 terrifying monsters from Pakistani folklore.
See, that would be interesting to me because from I know very little about like Pakistan. I mean, Pakistan is I know it's an Islamic country, but it's not an Arabic speaking country. So I'm assuming that their pre-Islamic legends were very different from the Arabic world. So that'd be
Well,
interesting.
Urdu is their official language.
Right.
They have like a lot of other ones, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of crossovers between them and the rest of Islam, and then Somalia too. Um, Yeah, interesting stuff. The big one that kind of pops up a lot is this Chudale or Churel, or it's the witch with the backwards feet. Uh, she's in like a lot of different cultures with like a very close name. Um,
Interesting. Yeah, that backwards feet is a common motif in a lot of folklore, a lot of different parts of
yeah.
the world. I'm not sure why.
Uh, I wonder if it's just because like if you do something wrong and then someone sees your footprints walking away from it, you could go, no, it's a witch. Walk that
She was
way
walking towards
backwards.
it.
I'll tell you, these two my read on them is because they're made when a woman dies in an unnatural way, either like through childbirth or actually childbirth sounds like a natural way to die. But
Yeah,
like if they get murdered by their in-laws, their husband, or if they die in childbirth or something like that,
like a
then they
tragic
turn
way, a
yeah,
tragic,
tragic way,
transgressive
yeah.
way. Yeah,
They they turn into this horrible witch that like kills babies and sucks life out of people and all of this stuff. And I to me it feels like the cultural message of them is, hey, try not to let so many women die. Because when
it's
they
a good
do,
message.
everybody gets really bummed out for some reason.
Yeah,
So
that's a good message to have.
yeah, and it's one I think that probably men throughout the ages needed to be reminded of from
Yeah.
time to time. Like, don't beat your wife to death, or she'll come back as a ghoul and suck the life out of your baby. You know.
Well, the childbirth that's a common motif too. Like the women dying in childbirth turning into a monster.
Yeah.
It's like that. Like the general idea too of ghosts are these spirits that had a really unjust death, like something that death that was tragic. They were like cut down in the middle of doing this, unable to finish this important thing of bringing
Yeah.
life into the world. And so it's like something that violates that natural cycle of life.
Yeah, I think it's like a personification of like the loss of like an innocent life. Because another thing they would talk about is that they would attack like a household in like the order of the most loved person down. So they would like, which was usually like the youngest kid or something, but whoever was like the best, most loved person in the household, they would kill them and suck out all their life first, and then move on to whoever the shithole of the household is left. Which it's a good way. You gotta have a tack plan.
Sometimes it's good to be the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, in the
All right. Well.
Caribbean, in the English
Oh.
speaking Caribbean, there's a woman spirit called the diablesse. Like it's from French, like the female devil, diablesse, but it's
Diablesse, right?
yeah, but it's pronounced like it's like somebody saying, "Hey, jobless, man."
Jobless man.
But
Job provide the bread.
yeah, exactly. But she was the jobless. It was a woman who died in childbirth and then haunts the night.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, why don't we get off before this shuts underneath us?
Let's do.
All right, all right, man. Well, this I feel like this was a successful stream. Hopefully, we'll check it out. And hey, if you're watching this, be sure to follow my channel, which is Ideas of the Shipwrecked, and be sure to follow Dave's channel, which is confusingly just called Holy Ghosts. Very
Yeah,
hard to find.
I'm gonna make it easier to find. Right now, it's Holy Ghosts. I mean, if you're watching it, it's you can. My channel's in there too, so you.
Yeah.
You know, we
Like
should add to the show notes on the YouTube video. Each of us add the other one's channel link. Let's do
we'll
that.
do that. We'll do that. And then we'll post a video of us making out.
Yeah, let's ask your AI robots to make one of those. I'm sure.
Sure. Sure.
So then I can blame it on your AI robots when that video surfaces.
All right, man. I'm
All
gonna
right.
I'm gonna click stop streaming now.
All right.
I'll
Same
get I'll
here.
give you a call after this and we can work on that thing.
Yeah.